simulates the Cambridge Analytica scandal. So in the lead up to the 2014 midterms, a group of both conservatives, data scientists, researchers, political consultants came together to build a company that would conduct political advertising campaigns on a national and international scale. And our goal was to simulate the tug of war between the United States government and Cambridge Analytica, who were trying to safeguard people's personal information and illicitly collect data for nefarious purposes, respectively. So this board here represents a black box commonly used to describe the internet, where each side is vying to define the character of this box. So the government wants to reinforce this box with laws, regulations, and enforcement so that people's personal information is protected. So we have these game pieces that signify like certain laws and regulations this side has to cover the box with to keep it adequately protected. And Cambridge Analytica wants to kind of pollute this and cover it with targeted political advertisements to try and serve their clients' interests in influencing voting behavior. So the actions that each player take is determined by these respective event cards. So like for the Cambridge Analytica side, it prompts the player to uncover X amount of panels or it also describes just other different kinds of mechanisms based on dice roll. So the game is also driven by chance and probability. And the event cards on the US government side prompts the user or prompts the player to certain actions to try and win privacy cases. And so just for a close-up, so like this side, like information or data is hidden behind these panels. It's already been hidden, but at the beginning of the game, the other side would hide like data that correspond to either the derived insight that someone is high in conscientiousness or high in openness, neuroticism, extroversion, or agreeableness, one of those five. There are 25 like tokens hidden behind these 40 panels, and the rest are noise tokens, we call them, to kind of represent that some data is not used or some data was maybe too expensive and they couldn't acquire it. So yeah, they have to guess where all of the like tokens are, and by the time they uncover all 25 like tokens, then they're able to cover these three sides in 25 political advertisements, all tailored to the 5 different personality categories. But at the same time, in order for them to win, they have to do that before the other side wins all the privacy cases they need in order to properly enforce all the privacy laws and regulations that have established a strong precedence of like privacy protections in the United States. So this side is trying to win all 20 of these privacy cases here. If they win a case, then they just signify that by adding a 1 case token to the respective case. And when they win, they'd have covered these 3 sides in these laws and regulations. You have one that represents the Federal Trade Commission Act, Section 5, which mandates like transparency with how companies disclose people's or use people's information. You also have like the Illinois Biometric Protection Act or the California Consumer Protection Act. So you have like these different laws that correspond to these cases, and if they win these cases, then they're covering these 3 sides. And their goal is to try, both sides' goal is to try to cover their respective game pieces. They're trying to cover the 3 sides with their respective game pieces. So the main tension in the game is when at some point. So the way that these game pieces have to be placed is that at least 6 of the game pieces have to be on each panel. There are 27 possible places you could put your game pieces. For the advertisements, I, in this case, would have to project all 25 of them. In the U.S. government's case, they would have to place all 20 of them. And the tension of the game arises when players are competing for space on the box, and they have to and at some point one player has to take the other person's game pieces off in order to put theirs on, and so it becomes a tug of war of trying to see who can hold off the other player the longest, so to speak. So we can go through a couple of rounds to kind of simulate to show some of the mechanisms in the game. So whoever starts is just determined by a consensus of who wants to go first. So let's say in this game, the U.S. government goes first, and so they would draw an event card and then follow the prompt, and you'll kind of so you can read it aloud.
So I got the Enforced Transparency card, which says roll a 5 or less for this event to happen. If there are any, remove 4 advertisements from the same tailoring and rehide the respective 5 like tokens on the opponent's side. But because this is the start of the game, we don't have any advertisements on the board yet, obviously, so this card is essentially not useful. That's my entire turn, essentially.
So then I would draw a card, and I got the Whistleblower card, so it's prompting me to guess where a like token is. An employee threatens to leak sensitive information. Roll a 4 or less to terminate the employee. Otherwise, have the opponent rehide up to 5 like tokens of the same kind, removing the respective advertisements if needed. So I could guess, let's say I want to guess the third panel here. There's a like behind it, so that's in my possession now, and it corresponds to high in neuroticism. So now I have to roll based on the prompt, so I have to roll a 4 or less for my desirable outcome. So I got a 1. But let's say I rolled a 5 or 6, then the opponent would have to rehide up to any like tokens, up to 5 of the like tokens in my possession that are of the same kind. But that doesn't have to happen. So, and then
my turn.
It's your turn again.
So, breach reporting expansion. If the opponent on the next turn reveals a like token that corresponds in high in neuroticism, you can watch them forfeit gaining insights from that like and reveal and rehide the like on their side, moving around the surrounding tokens as needed. So, if you get a like token on your next turn, I can rehide that.
Yeah, if it's high neuroticism.
Right.
So, I can't just I can't just roll whatever. So, because it's determined by the card, the mechanism. So, I got a dark web purchase card, which is prompting me to view 3 panels of my choice. So I can elect to choose, let's say, this panel. This one's high in neuroticism, so that's to your advantage. I found one high in agreeableness, and let's say this right side panel, and it's high in openness. So these are in my possession now, but because I have one that's high in neuroticism,
based on this card that says that
you can rehide this.
I can now rehide this.
So under any.
Let's open mine first.
Or you can replace it with, you can find a noise token and replace it with that one.
Could you grab it? There we go. Okay, so that's the rehidden. And now my turn. So, compliance enforcement. Reset the positions of 3 tokens on the opponent's side, moving around the tokens as needed. Which, again, you don't have any tokens on your side. So. But if we did, in theory, I would then rearrange your advertisement.
Wait, sorry, what does this say again? Reset the positions of. So that pretty much means like you could like scramble up the like tokens
Right.
on like that are hidden on my side.
We could just probably skip that.
But we could for the sake of time we could like skip that one, and show like what it would look like with these advertisements up. So my next card is I lose a lawsuit. I have to guess where a like token is and roll a 5 or 6 to avoid skipping my next 2 turns. So this one is kind of moot. This one's a noise token. So I don't do anything. I can't really do anything with that. Now I have to roll this 5 or 6, so I kind of. So I roll a 1. So which means this means that you go
2 turns.
3 times because I skipped my turn.
Okay.
Twice.
So, next card, court injunction. I have. So, in the Cambridge Analytica scandal of 2019, the state attorney general has brought actions against Facebook over the misuse of data by Cambridge Analytica, reinforcing user privacy. Roll a 5 or less to secure the 1 case token for the respective case. If a 6 is rolled, do nothing, as the lawyers were unable to argue that defendants did not violate the FTC Act stipulations. So, in essence, I roll a 5 or lower, and I get to win this case. I rolled a 5, so it's going to put the 1 case token next to the Cambridge Analytica scandal, which is one of these. There we go. And then I get to put
The corresponding
symbol of that token.
So that one dealt with the Federal Trade Act, Federal Trade Commission Act, Section 5. And then you would go again.
I would go again because your turn is skipped.
Yeah.
So court injunction in the Ring security camera case of 2021, Amazon's Ring settled with FTC over privacy violations. Roll a 4 or less to secure the 1 case token, and then roll a 5 or 6 to lose the case. So essentially the same thing as the previous card. So 4 or less, I rolled a 4, so I won the case as well. So we put the Ring security camera case token, which is somewhere here. So we can grab the corresponding symbol, and I'll put that one, for example, right there.
Symbol corresponds to the Children's Protection Act for one of the states.
And then I go third time because the turn is still skipped. Without a court injunction, roll a 4 or less to secure the 1 case token for the FTC versus Twitter case. So 4 or less. 6. So I don't win that case, so I essentially do.
So then, hopefully on this one I can have enough like tokens, but prediction model enhancement, roll a 5 or less to have the opponent reveal 2 like tokens. So this one's like a guarantee reveal of data. But I rolled a 6, so I don't get to do anything. And then it's your turn again.
So court injunction in the Google Street View Wi-Fi case of 2013, Google found itself paying fines after it was found collecting data for Wi-Fi during its Street View mapping project without user consent. Roll a 5 or less to secure the 1 case token for the respective case. So 3, I want the case, Google Street View, and then I have this one.
Roll a 4 or less to guess the location of a like. If I roll a 5 or 6, it's guaranteed I uncover like data because I could keep uncovering panels until I find a like. So let's try and roll a 5 or a 6. I got a 2, but I'm still able to guess where data might be. I think let's take this one. This one is high in openness. So now, currently I don't have enough information or data to project any advertisements to people. I still need 3 tokens of high in openness, 4 in agreeableness, 4 in neuroticism. So I'm kind of behind.
We could just do like one more turn just for the sake of time. Core injunction again. So roll a 5 or less to win the case for the Microsoft Ireland case. So 5 or less. I got a 4, so I win that case as well. There. And we'll take.
And then maybe for the sake of time, I could show some other mechanisms and pretend as if we were already far along in the game and we had already projected, or I had already predicted different advertisements to people. So you have some cards where they represent like certain kinds of actions the company might take. So they might dodge a fine. Well, it's another generic card that tells you to guess where a like token is. This one is telling you if you to roll a certain number of higher to avoid skipping your next turn. But certain cards will prompt you to uncover as many as 10 panels, and you have a lot of chances there to uncover enough data to project maybe even like 8 of these ads. You have another card, let's see. A lot of these cards also comprise of like prompts that guarantee you can find like data. So like if you find a noise token, then the card will like revert that action, kind of to represent the times that the company could have had easy access to data. Some cards, and there aren't just cards that, there are also cards that might force the government to skip their turn.
In essence, that's essentially the 4 mechanics of gameplay here.
So let's kind of see how it would look like if we had enough like data. So let's say we had enough like data for openness. We had 5 of these tokens, then we'd be able to project the 4 advertisements tailored to someone high in openness. And the openness card is determined by like these little icons specified on, and it's specified on the rulebook which icons correspond to which personality. But let's say it's high in openness. Then you have 4 of these advertisements with rhetoric and imagery. Supposedly tailored to an open person who might be more, who might spend more attention on these ads. And let's get to a point where we might like simulate the tension between the 2 sides. So like, let's say I have 4 advertisements I can project. I have enough information. I have enough data on someone who's high in agreeableness. I can project these advertisements.
And then, for example, if I were to win a case, I could remove one of their advertisements if the entire board was filled.
Right.
Then the game becomes sort of like a tug of war between the advertisement side and the manipulation side.
So, and in which case, like you would have to, if you were to like remove one of my ads, you would have to remove all 4 of them and then re-hide the corresponding 5 like tokens. And so that kind of pushes the progress of this player back.
I think these two is pretty much.
And then the same applies from me to you. If I wanted to have this space and I don't have enough space, I'm allowed to, I guess, in essence, like overturn one of your cases, and you would have to win that case again, which is kind of annoying because you can only win that case again when you've run out of like the cards in your deck, and you reshuffle them and draw from them again. But yeah, that's essentially those are essentially all the main mechanisms and rules. And to reiterate again, how you win is when your side is able to cover all the spaces you need with all your game pieces before the other player is able to. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool.